Statistical process control, SPC, is an analytical technique for plotting data over time. It helps you understand variation and, in doing so, guides you on the most appropriate action to take, as well as allowing you to track the impact of any changes you make. To go alongside the Making Data Count interactive PDF, which we issued in May, we have developed a simple statistical process control tool for you to use. This tool is written in Excel and is therefore accessible to most people. The first thing you need to do is enter the name of your organisation, your ward or unit, and the thing you are measuring. So in this case, I'm going to enter Trust A, Ward B. I'm going to look at the percentage performance. I can also enter a target, which in this case is 92% or 92. And a maximum. We can't get more than 100, so I'm entering 100%. You need to enter a start date. Then you have some choices to make. You can choose whether you want to enter the data as days, as weeks, or as months. If you're going to choose days, you can choose whether you include weekends or not. For this example, I'm going to choose weeks. I'm going to do my study for 32 weeks. The data table is automatically filled in with the date of each week for the number of weeks I have specified. So now you simply need to start entering your data by typing measurements into these yellow and green boxes. So my first observation might be 92, my second 97. As you can see, as soon as you enter some data, the chart changes. We've already got our target line here as a red dotted line. We now have the two data points we've entered and the mean of those two data points. So let's enter some more data and see what else happens. Okay, I've entered about just over 2 weeks worth of data now, and you can see that some more information has been added to the chart. We have process limits. These limits represent the range within which we expect 99% of our data points to fall if there's no special cause, that's unusual variation in our process. But that's not the case here. You can see that on this date, a value was much lower than all the other values, and in fact it fell below the lower process limit. This is special cause variation, and we need to investigate why that's happened. You can see that when you do get some special cause variation or something unusual happens, the table below shows a message to that effect. In this case, it's pointing out that there's been a very high or very low value. Okay, let's move on and add a little bit more data. Right, I've added another week's data. You can see a different sort of special cause variation has now occurred. When we get a run of 7 or more points above the mean or below the mean, that is statistically significant. In this case, you can see that there's a run of 7 points above the mean. That means that something in the process has changed. It's highlighted in this case by orange diamonds, which show where the variation occurred. You can also see in the table below that there's another message explaining what those points mean. One of the other things this tool allows you to do is annotate your SPC charts. So this particular example, the person running the investigation decided that after that particularly poor value, they wanted to put a change in their process. And to indicate this on the charts, they select the date that you can see that there's immediately a named arrow on the chart showing when the intervention took place. And very satisfyingly for this particular person, when they made that intervention, there seems to have been an initial improvement in performance. You can see I've added some data which have broken yet another rule. This rule is a trend. You can see there is a rising trend of more than 7 points, which is also highly statistically significant. This is actually made up data, but if you ever get a rising or falling trend like that, then you need to investigate what you've done to change your process that has resulted in this improvement. You will also see on the moving range chart here 2 red points indicating that there's been a very large shift in the data, and you'll see that applies to this extreme value we saw here. So what are the other features of this tool? Well, you might choose to set a baseline, and you do that by typing a number here. So for example, we could set a baseline at 12 weeks. If we choose to do that, then the process limits are set just on the first 12 weeks of our data. Then the other observations are viewed in that frame. In this case, I'm not going to set a baseline, but I am going to decide that when I made my intervention, there was a real change in the process that we're observing. And I could do that by choosing a date from this list and then writing here. So I'm going to put change 1. And you'll see that at that point, from that date, the process limits are changed. And you can see that while the rising trend is still significant, the process limits have moved up significantly and the process overall has improved. We've lost the orange points, but that's because we've moved the mean and the process limits. Other things to learn. Well, the target for this process is 92%. And you can see that this process, while it may sometimes achieve the target level, it can't be relied on to do that all the time. And if we want to consistently achieve a target of 92%, we need to make yet another change in our process to make the process limits rise completely above the target line. There are a couple more features you might find helpful. You can set the y-axis limits by typing here. So I might want my axis to go from 60 to 100. I can choose whether I want integers, decimals, or percentages on my axis. And I can choose the format of the date axis. So either month, month, year, year, or month, day, day, month, month, year, year, which is what I want here. I then have to click the change axis button and you'll see that those changes are imposed on the graph. Makes it easier to read in this case. The other feature you may want to use is the Export to PowerPoint button. You can export your chart just by clicking this button. It will automatically open PowerPoint and export your graph into PowerPoint for you. I hope you find these features helpful. If you have any other ideas about what you would like the tool to do, please get in contact with us.